Welcome back, everybody. We are here at the KeSPA Cup, and we just got done with our first game. NONGSHIM Red Force able to take a close one up against KT.
Yeah.
Coming back in that game after about 35 minutes by the end of it.
Does kind of feel like we could see a longer series between these two based on the first game alone. And we'll see what sides we do end up going to. But I like the way that KT played that draft. They really understood how to use their early game, and it feels like the trend for NONGSHIM is to kind of be behind or even early and then win the long game, right? And it does feel like the trend is for Rich to be like 0-3 best case scenario, sometimes 0-5. And then he makes big plays in the end.
Budget nuggery.
Yeah.
Feels bad, man.
The 0-3 power spike coming in.
Yeah, I do kind of agree with you, which is I feel like it's unfortunate for Rich because, you know, we're hyping him up. He's got this Aatrox pick. He loves his Aatrox, but then he just gets dominated, camped a lot of the time by enemy teams that recognize his power and they want to shut him down.
And his aggressive tendencies, and it does, especially in a world where, like, you're building towards Gore Drinker in these top lanes, and, like, okay, now our top laner has the items first, so it's even easier to just kind of keep snowballing this. Especially when Rich was playing champions like Gangplank, where it's like, well, you're just not going to live through anything. I do like the idea, but at the same time, the trade-off, which you mentioned right away, was that Peanut was able to control the jungle and was able to get those Drakes early and was able to lead towards those really pivotal team fights being favorable to NONGSHIM in the late game. Had a lot of poke, obviously, on the Nidalee. That's not all Nidalee does, but, you know, in some of these comps, it can be a very powerful option. No substitutions for KT Rolster. No surprises there going into Game 2. So we'll see the Graves ban from them on blue side once again.
Same sides.
Yep.
Yep, they're not going to switch it up here. It's what we saw out of Damwon versus Hamalife Esports yesterday in their best of 5. And I wouldn't be surprised if we just get similar bans here. We'll see how the picks change up. I don't feel like there was anything specifically that either team is like, no, we cannot let him have that this time.
The KeSPA first pick, I feel, is a little bit too high priority right now, though.
Yeah.
How low her win rate is and how difficult it is for her to scale into the late game. And we do see it again here for Hybrid.
Yeah.
But
I even heard the Korean commentators like, ooh.
Yeah. Not sure about that one. Like, there's a lot of data in this tournament that kind of suggests that this champion is just too high risk. High risk, high reward, but I mean, I do appreciate that. Excuse me, she skipped the Muramana, excuse me, on that one.
Yeah.
I always get that name mixed up.
Well, it's both.
Yeah.
Eventually,
yes.
Right? So.
Okay, Zed would be really fun. We were talking about you guys were talking about that yesterday, but I don't think that's going to happen here. I don't think Twisted Fate at this level of priority either. It's just a troll here from Peanut.
Just having some fun.
They did ban the Olaf last time in the second ban phase, and I was talking about how Peanut likes to get his jungler in this first rotation on red side, but they're going to go with the Olaf early here into the Leona. This is a really solid red side R1, R2, as LS would call it, because you have one of Peanut's best junglers. Graves is banned away. This puts Bonnie in a position where he's probably going to have to pick one of those AP junglers again. And he might even just take the Talia right here and now, because otherwise his options get very limited. And I don't think you want to play the Lilia into the Olaf. That's been a pretty rough one.
Maybe like an Ornn Kindred here or something. Okay, they're not going to go for that first. They want to get the Alistar once again, but I'm just thinking about jungle matchups. But the Ornn priority coming in here, they're actually prioritizing, okay, we don't want to play Renekton this time. We want to change that up. We got to get a beefy front line, which could, you know, still go down that path of like another 80 carry into the jungle, such as Kindred, you know, to buff up some of his items and stuff like that. But it'll be interesting to see what they do go with, and it looks like Rich is going to go back onto the Aatrox, wants to play into the Ornn matchup this time around.
You do end up getting Aatrox a lot on red side, and we are talking about that in the break, and Rich doesn't get it in the first rotations here. They go for the safer Olaf and Leona, but does get that one in the end here. So many teams spanning that away, and here's the Kindred you mentioned. That's the risk of taking this Alistar early, is you do take away a lot of options here for Bonnie, and I think they might just take away the Talia here as well. Doesn't work that well with the Olaf, or excuse me, the Ornn in the top lane, but it can can be decent.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as reliable as a Renekton in terms of gank assist, but it still can set up some nice plays. And I do agree. I think they're going to try to target the jungle here. Bonnie, even though he had a couple of walls that were a little bit off, I think his early and mid game were quite good.
He's fantastic.
They wanna try to shut that down here a bit, but Yone is once again going to get banned away from UCal.
Yeah, and we may never get to see UCal's Yone.
Yeah, maybe for the better.
Maybe for the better, possibly.
We don't know.
Works well with a lot of the AP junglers Bonnie's been playing, but I guess we'll just have to leave that as a question mark for now. And we'll see the Orianna ban against Bay, which may actually push Bay into that Syndra pick that we've had, which, you know, has been a little bit missing here. This is such a stylistic choice from KT2 because a lot of teams would never ban the Orianna here because it means that they take Syndra, you don't get the Syndra, it works against you in a meta that's dominated by 2 mid laners specifically. But they'll take it away here because that's not something UCal likes to go towards. And get to see Ezreal here.
Yeah.
For Duckdom, it'll be his first time.
Duckdom just does not want to play MF. Not sure exactly why. I mean, we know he likes his Aphelios. We saw that prioritized before, but now with the Ezreal coming out here, obviously going to be pretty good against the Ornn and the Alistar in terms of just keeping them at range, pushing them away. Still could pick that Syndra last, as you mentioned, and that would be pretty fantastic for just keeping them at range.
Yeah, the now 4th game for UCal on Victor, 4 for 4 of the games he's played because Sub obviously playing earlier on in that group stage. And it looks like they want to lock in Hecarim as the final pick. So there's a lot that this comp is capable of doing in the late game. Like this game for KT, they want to play it late. And we'll see the Sylas come through potentially here. It's been kind of a soft counter to Victor in the challenger side of things. The academy teams here in Korea have been playing that against Victor quite a bit.
And they've got an Ornn on the enemy side too, so you have your pick. You know, you could even flex the Aatrox. They're not going to. It is rich. And as you mentioned, he can play pretty well into the Victor, but as the game comes along, there are so many amazing ults that you can take on the side of KT. I mean, 4 of them that you would instantly be like, okay,
yeah, I'd love to have that.
Good, yeah. So I actually really do like that Sylas pick, and I think it fits a little bit better with their comp compared to the Syndra.
And I think the Sylas is going to be great at helping to keep Rich safe in the top lane in this matchup that, you know, it's really tough for the Aatrox to kind of crush, right? It's a lot, I think it's going to be a lot safer for him this game. It's going to be a lot better for him than the previous game, but Bay makes this so much easier with the Sylas pick, can rotate up, can teleport up.
Swap bug.
It says you don't have any friends, actually. That's what that thing is on the right side of the
sad.
Don't have any friends yet. Poor observer.
Yeah.
One day.
Maybe he can make friends by observing this tournament. Maybe some of the other observers he can talk with. Of course, our LCK observers down there doing a great job.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're not gonna have Hecarim AD carry.
No. So
just another swap bug. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes when we do get into this, but yeah, I'm favoring NONGSHIM once again. I feel like there are a lot of tools that they have drafted to deal with kind of KT's composition face up after the first 3 picks. You see Kai'Sa, Ornn, Alistar, it's like, okay, like they're engaging.
Yeah,
they're going to try to get into our
aggressive.
back line. There's nobody on the side of NONGSHIM, not a single person who really cares about getting full-on engaged by, you know, their entire comp. They have even the Ezreal to hop around to engage with the rest of his team, and everybody else can survive well enough.
Yeah, and I think we probably will see Ezreal, you know, end up being pretty strong in the late game, and that's that's one of those things that, you know, these comps aren't. A lot of the comps, and we talked about this last time you and I cast together, sometimes in this tournament we've seen comps that are very black and white. This team is the late game team, and this team has to skirmish, and this team has to get the Drakes early, this team has to control the pacing, the tempo. But this game doesn't feel like that so much. It feels like you definitely can feel like, okay, Aatrox is really strong in the late game, and Ezreal is extremely strong in the late game, and we can get there pretty safely too. I think the Sylas pick is like extremely safe as well. You don't have a brittle, really squishy mage that you have to worry about. Even the Syndra that was the other option, right, is like strong, especially in the late game, but I feel like the Sylas allows you to control the mid game a lot safer.
Yeah, it is definitely safer. You have a lot more mobility. You have a bit more tankiness, skirmishing power. Whereas the Syndra, you know, mid to late game could do a really nice job of kind of keeping everybody away. But the rest of their composition really looked to do that outside of the Ezreal. So I think they kind of wanted something that can also just go full steam ahead, can engage alongside of them. And I think we're going to have both these compositions just kind of banging their heads together a lot. So I would expect a lot of fighting in this one.
I think we are going to have a high kill count in this one. But I think if neither of the teams get an early lead, like we're going to learn a lot about KT's late game play when they are running a comp that's more late game focused. Because we already know what NONGSHIM is capable of in that stage of the game. Even with a comp that's not as good at it, oftentimes they just make the better decisions. They have the better positioning. They make the better snap calls, the snap judgment in those late game fights to cut somebody off, to go in for an execution, to look for that pick. And that's what I think a lot of people really respect about late game NONGSHIM, about late game Kellen, who, you know, in the early to mid game, sometimes you see his aggressive play. It's like, this is maybe a little bit too much. But in the late game, that trade, you trade your support for one of their mid laner or their AD, and suddenly it's like, okay, this makes a lot of sense. And I mean, the ability to chase down and kill targets in the early game with this lane actually that they set up with the Duck Dump, Kellen, Ezreal, and Leona is pretty scary actually. You know, I like it a lot.
It'll be interesting to see how this one does come around. As we mentioned, it feels like we could be butting heads a lot here. And it'll be up to NONGSHIM to try to dive onto the Victor, especially take that damage out of the game as he's kind of the one guy that's left alone. But either way, guys, we do have Game 2 coming up right now. Let's hop into it here.
You know, you were talking about the lack of diversity in this tournament in terms of champions. I think that's because there's so many champions that are permanently banned, right? So there's not a lot of flexibility in the first ban phase. Like, because Pantheon, Akali, Lucian, Samira, they're kind of perma-banned, right? So you kind of get one ban apiece. And Graves has been tying up that slot for KT, so...
Yeah, and honestly, I think he should probably be perma-banned as well.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Graves is just ridiculous.
He's been left open so many times.
Gale Force Graves is just the most insanely oppressive thing on one item. It just feels like nobody can win that trade. He is so mobile, flexible. He can go anywhere. He can burst anyone down with insane burst with that item. It's pretty crazy, and I don't want to really see too many more Graves until he gets changed up a little bit here in pro play.
Well, Kellen getting the stopwatch rune here, so
you don't see that every day anymore.
I actually like that though for his play style and how he's always on the wrong side of the team fight. Yeah. Well, love to see Ezreal so much these days, coming back a little bit. And, you know, there's a lot of debate early on. I saw this like on Twitter, I saw this on Reddit, everyone talking about whether Ezreal if it's safe enough for him to start tier, or if he needs to go Doran's Blade. And we've seen both, actually, in KeSPA Cup here. In this case, obviously, it's going to be the Doran's Blade start. And I think part of that's because of the Alistar matchup. You know, be safe. I guess arguably you could say that Kao is easy to hit Qs into, but I like this choice in this case. I don't know if it'll ever be figured out to the extent of you have to do one or the other, which is kind of cool about the new tier.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the idea behind it. You can also kind of fight a little bit later. We see a lot of that in the mid lane where you kind of just build towards a potential Luden's item. Or not Luden's item, Lost Chapter item. And you get your tier afterwards. You get a lot of mana stacking from that. And then you kind of go into Seraph's Embrace second. A very nice build path. It's very standard, safe. And we do see a lot of that in the mid lane.
I mean, there was something inherently fun, I think, for people who like to build tier all the time, for just spamming abilities. Like, that was kind of fun. But it's much more impactful and meaningful. And when you get to that point in the game, we have enough you know, cooldown reduction or ability haste. You build a lot faster in the mid game, so it's kind of fun too for that. Love the options.
Oh man, Zeus gonna isolate Peanut here. He's taking an insane amount of damage, but they can't quite finish him off yet. But that is gonna be the laser coming in from the side of UCal. But now with the TP coming in, trying to turn this fight around. But with the 3-on-3, it looks like heavily in favor of KT as they take 3 kills on top of it afterwards. And just like that, as we do a flash down on
Rich dies
Doran.
in the top lane as well.
Wow,
So.
okay.
And this is like, it's a pretty safe matchup for the Aatrox as long as he doesn't pull any fast ones. I hope we get a replay of that first because obviously we already saw what happened in the bot fight. And I really like the teleport from Bay. This is kind of what I was talking about with the Silas pick. Gives you a little bit more skirmish ability, but it still wasn't enough. And it took him so long to get there that he wasn't able to do a ton. He was only able to trade a kill out. So much action here in the bot lane. I don't know if we're going to see that replay right away.
Yeah, I mean, that was just a really fantastic trade there from the side of KT. Zeus, props to him, just opening it up. And now, I mean, we're already 2,000 gold ahead here at 4 minutes.
Hey, I mean, remember last game, though.
Man.
Let's not get too excited about KT. You know, the rules still stand.
Yeah, you know, I won't get excited
All
about
right.
KT.
Well, this is going to be the bot fight because that one was already captured, so it's easy to replay that one. Zeus comes in, headbutts Peanut out, and Peanut doesn't turn around to fight because they're just so outnumbered without this teleport.
The TP here is just, I mean, I don't know why they're trying to force this and turn this around. You already lost the fight. Like, you're trying to expend a TP to force a turn when you're already so far behind after taking so much damage? I don't know.
It's hard, too. Okay, this is actually just a caught shopping. I guess, no, not even. Wow. Well, there's an effect called Brittle that comes into the game with with Ornn. Yeah.
There's no saving Rich on that one.
Yeah,
there was no camping. There's no, you know, unfortunate scenarios in the top lane. He just straight up gave himself over to Doran.
Yeah. I mean, there's not even an argument that, like, there's not even an argument if he hits every Q under turret, like, then he wins or kills him anyway. Like,
no.
Well, I mean, this is going to be the case where Rich just goes 0-3, he's down 15 CS, and then later he's going to be down 60 CS, but then better top lane wins.
Yeah. Well, see if NONGSHIM as a team can help that meme not just be a dream.
Well, you know, Rich, very much extremely mechanical player of all the games I've commentated him in, which is a lot before this, in a different esport, but you know, this isn't top lane Sonya. So not going to be able to whirlwind his way to full health after hitting a spear on this one.
No, not going to be the case. No Sonya in this game.
Nope.
And now, I mean, you know, you even saw like how he got so low, just straight up in trades in the lane, to the point where he had to just go back.
I mean, this is another one of those trades we're looking at right now. The auto is fat. It's a fat auto.
Yeah. And that's why Ornn has been just so strong for so long, is that he offers very reliable hard engage from range. Also, he doesn't lose any lane matchups, and he gives incredible scaling to your team through his items. Now, they toned down the items,
but it's still extremely powerful.
Yeah, for sure. Still got all that stuff. Azus is just gonna die here. We got TP coming in. Hybrid looking to turn this one. Will get the one kill. Flashes away, and the TP is denied in the mid lane. We'll see if UCal can get a kill. It doesn't look like it, as Rich is
nice flash, but
still gonna die. That's a good idea, I suppose, but he was dead meat regardless. Bonnie still with his ultimate available.
Yeah, I think he was kind of hoping that maybe if he flashes there, Bonnie dies. We do see the Duck Dom True Shot Barrage try to secure that one, but unfortunately very far on the other side of the map. But now he's down a flash, so as cool as it was to watch him dodge that, actually that's a card stacked against him now, in fact. Bay is holding it down in the mid lane. He's not had a good time, but hold it down.
Yeah, I mean, it's rough if you teleport into a losing fight and then you have to come back against a victor.
He has had a few of these unfortunate teleports. Remember that Destiny from the first series?
Yeah.
This is just a really nice collapse in. This is Kellen's like favorite moment ever. It's like he's like, yes, I'll die for a kill. That's what he's all about.
Yeah. Get the
Oh,
couple.
this actually happened.
Yeah. So denial on the teleport, steals the Chaos Storm to stop the channel.
It's actually a really nice play. Actually, he lives too. So we already know what happened to Rich.
Whoa, what's going on here?
Stealing some
Undercover
drugs.
right now is Peanut and Kellen.
I don't know if it's undercover or just straight bullying at this point. Why does that penguin have a bow tie? Does anyone know?
There's no vision here. This is really a Hybrid's just, he is so dead.
Yeah.
All right, let's see if he can get out of this one.
I mean.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it.
Just gonna give the kill to Duck Dog completely, like.
He's actually got to back away from this one. That is nice dodge. Oh, dodges the Q as well. And finally, we are going to have our kill.
It's like Duck Dom's like, Kellen, I know you want to make sure I got the kill for sure, but like, you really need to make sure I get the kill for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, well that was a really nice mechanical showing for Hybrid, let's say. All things considered, they didn't have vision of that at all, despite the fact that Zeus was clearly looking for where they were, which in itself was kind of risky. But yeah, didn't have vision there, and didn't want to lose his wave, so he was out here because the wave is pushed so far forward, which is why NONGSHIM's bot duo is here in the first place. Or I should say Peanut is here, not a duo, but. And the Hybrid dashes, dodges a Q, dodges a second Q actually, and dodges the
and another Q.
barrage.
Just wait until the stun comes in so I can auto him, so I don't have to miss a fifth ability. Oh man.
It's a nice trade, obviously, for NONGSHIM, and I like proactive plays like that when you are behind in a game like this. But they're still behind. You know, it helps definitely close the gap a little bit more. But Duck Dom's down a kill, even in CS, despite you know, what was eventually a pretty nice exchange.
Yeah. Well, they had to blow Flash to get the kill, but you know, whatever works to make sure that it does happen here. Rich still trying to build towards that Gore Drinker, pretty far behind after going 0-2. A very fed Ornn in this game, and it looks like Peanut was actually able to take the Rift Herald this time around, whereas Bonnie got it in game number 1. So they might just look to drop it here, or maybe they'll try to fight over this Drake. As
big
that
true
is
shot.
Huge amounts of damage coming out from the Ezreal as Hybrid immediately going to be pummeled. And in goes Bay trying to steal that ultimate. Bonnie all alone here will get the kill onto Peanut though. Should get this Drake. No! He doesn't have his smite as it will go the way of the Ezreal. And that's going to be Doran blasting over the wall. He is really tanky, so at least he does get out. But NONGSHIM able to get in there, take a nice little fight, and get the Drake.
Yeah, this was a really nice fight by them. And the True Shot Barrage is like what seals the deal almost. I mean, it looks like, okay, you're coming in, you've got control over where the Drake is. Everybody's grouped up, 4-man Barrage hits. The Solar Flare is avoided, but it actually cuts the team in half. And the fact that Hybrid dies early in this fight means that basically the rest is all locked up. And the Ornhorn, when it comes through, is unfortunately just a little bit too late. Doran is walking out of here now. Still not sure about the bow tie on that penguin.
You're not a fan of the bow tie?
I mean, penguins already kind of look like they're wearing a suit, so I get the idea.
Yeah, he's dressed for success, man. You gotta wear your suit. You gotta look good. You play good.
In 2020, though, soon to be 2021.
Yeah, I mean, doesn't matter what year it is. Suit's gonna look good on anyone.
Well, if it's a black bow tie, I get behind it a little bit more. But
okay.
the
Wait,
blue
what
one,
color is it?
It's
blue?
like blue. It's like
whoa,
blue side, even though Peanut's on the red team. He keeps flashing it.
That is daring. That is bravery.
Bold fashion choice on an emote that he didn't personally design.
But he did select it.
He did.
I'm a fan of the penguin. I didn't even notice that he was wearing a bow tie, so.
I asked the real questions here.
Yeah. Clearly. Are they just going to try to dive this?
I mean,
okay,
this looks...
We have Bonnie nearby. Peanut still, okay, going for a little bit expedition.
This is just really nice roaming from NONGSHIM, just understanding how
They're
to pull a game back.
They're on vision here, but Zeus still going to face check. Maybe didn't see the Olaf. He's just dead through Unbreakable Will. The ultimate comes down on the Hybrid. The Q will be flashed, so at least they get that. Trying to turn this on to Peanut. Now they will pick up that kill. And now Bonnie is frontlining here for Kellen. And now he's got to walk through that turret. Just going to try to sacrifice himself so his teammates can get out. Going extremely deep into that one. And actually, the shutdown for Victor onto Leona is going to be some nice extra gold in UCal's pocket as he's now 2-0-2 with a shutdown taken.
Yeah, this is who's trapping who here is the question. Ornn is walking in, as you can see on the mini map here. Is Zeus is going to tank a ton of this damage. He dies obviously straight up. It's Kellen who gets the kill somehow. Hybrid lives here, has a really nice flash, and then that's when the big ult comes through from Bonnie. See the fear come, and it's a nice Ornn horn from really, really far away. Kellen buys time, as you mentioned. But the Ornn horn is one of those insanely strong engage tools that only gets better as the game goes on, it feels like. It's so big and difficult to avoid.
Yeah, it's really nice, especially once we get into 5v5s that happen pretty consistently. Up against a decent amount of mobility on the enemy side, but still.
Denying the back here, Duckdom.
Duckdom's getting pretty strong.
He is getting fed. He's, you know, only, he's like more than 2/3 of the way done with his tier, so he's getting close to that. And
having trouble landing Qs on Hybrid, though. Maybe sometime in this game. He's very good at landing the true shot barrage.
Well, everybody's so good at playing against Ezreal at this point. Like, I gave all the credit to Hybrid for dodging earlier more than I blame Duckdom for missing. I know that was a bit of a meme for Max and I watching at home when all the Qs were missed from Noah the other day.
Yeah, what is going on with Peanut here? He is just like,
he's like,
really
this is my
angry.
jungle.
Yeah, he's just, I will secure this jungle. It's mine. I mean, he is in the deepest brush that you can get to. He is all the way in the back there.
I mean, he's with Kellen, and I think they were just hoping that we were going to see Zeus path through here.
This is some of the most aggressive, proactive jungle control of the enemy jungle I've seen in a long time. I mean,
this is going to be a turret, probably.
Yeah.
There's no way to stop it. This is NONGSHIM's macro. I mean, Peanut, he threatens Zeus if he passed through that way, but then he just turns this into what was nearly a turret play. And look at Rich. Rich is like, okay, well, if you're going to come down Ornn, which Doran does, he's going to get free waves on the top and look for some more turret damage up there. This is just insane macro 4-head plays, 5-head plays.
Yeah, well, we'll see how this goes for Peanut. Has to pop that Ragnarok here. Bonnie goes in, but he's taking more damage than he's giving right now. The follow-up finally coming in from UCal as he is going to zap down the Leona underneath her turret. And with that pick, that is going to mean this Drake going over the side of KT, but at least we do have Rich up in the top side soloing that turret.
Slightly missed time there from Babe, but he's human, you know, after all.
True.
You know, I just want to say, like, you know, I know a lot of people across esports, a lot of fans like to think that every pro-gamer is, oh my god, that was actually really scary.
Because he's still running at them, and he's like, yeah, he's
Rich
taunting them the whole time. This is an excellent bait from Peanut, as we'll see what Hybrid can get done, spamming the emotes on his death. At the moment, Hybrid at least going to get that second kill, but a double kill as well to Rich, who is right back into the game. And man, Peanut, such a troll. He's playing with such confidence in this game. It's crazy.
Well, he comes forward here and shows himself, and then, okay, this is the earlier part, right, where, you know, he's got Ragnarok, so he's not feared. He walks away and then decides that, this is the previous fight. This is the part where he just decides that he's going to walk all the way away, but this is the fight we were looking for you. I was like, okay, so he wanted to maybe smite steal that.
Yeah, he had smite.
And he didn't get the opportunity to do so, but He's not afraid of anything. He tanks a ton of damage. I think he was hoping too that with the attack speed increase, he might have been able to even turn around and live there. But
yeah, with Gore Drinker, anything is possible.
Anything is possible.
That's what I like to say here on this match.
I
mean, we saw an Aatrox go 1v5. Obviously, that was late game with World Ender up, but still.
You called it before this game started, and you said this could be a high kill game. You know, a lot of fighting, a lot of action, a lot of deaths on both sides. I think the official term for that in esports is Clown Fiesta, but it's been pretty calculated on both sides. But I do feel slowly NONGSHIM is edging it out. And they've done a lot on the map outside of, you know, they're down 2 kills and gold is even, but they have gotten a lot. They've accomplished a lot on the map.
Oh, nice pick here on a Kellen. He is in no man's land, but he is going to have some help from his friends. We do have the knockup from Doran, but not really getting too much damage done. Another huge True Shot barrage does come in, and now everybody on the side of KT has to run away as Rich is just gigantic. Able to frontline here for Duckdom. Rich still on the chase. And you were thinking, yeah, very high value Ornn ultimate, but all that AoE damage going heavily in favor of NONGSHIM with their comp.
There just wasn't enough damage follow-up. I mean, they had the Ornn Horn and the Hecarim ult coming through, and there was a decent amount of damage, but it wasn't enough. And in that choke, Duckdom again gets insane True Shot damage done. And he's about to finish his stacks. He's got Divine Sunderer. And, I mean, what more could you ask for here in a fight for NONGSHIM? And it looks like KT just can't set up a fight to win, even with these 2 insane engage tools, the Ornn and Hecarim coming in.
Yeah.
The fears, it's not enough. I mean, watch this again, like, look at where KT is standing, too. Zeus is here. He wants to set up this headbutt fight onto Kellen. Kellen just walks out casually. Ornn Horn comes through, and it's a big one. Look at the damage coming through the body as well, but then the barrage comes in, and everyone's still alive.
Hybrid and Newcaller are in the back there, just doing 0 damage. Like, there were some lasers. Hybrid never went in. We talked about, you know, the KeSPA, what value she gets done. In the late game, she probably would have just hopped in the back line and hoped for the best, you know. But she's not there yet, and so she basically did nothing, and it kind of turned into a 5v4 where Duckdom was getting about a million bajillion points more of value in that fight.
And he's 3-0-6 now. Finished his stacks. He's got his steel caps. I mean, he's actually building a little bit tanky here.
Yeah.
Which is really nice to see.
Pretty interesting.
I mean, if you're gonna hope to just survive through the Doran engage here, why not? I mean, he's already kind of ahead of where he would be in a normal game in terms of damage, so why not just play it safe and make sure that that momentum goes forward? Bay is in trouble here. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really have much else to
He's
say
like, I'll
about
ult
that.
you after you ult me, but
yeah,
as it turns out,
it's like, wait, I can't just run away from you? What's going on?
Yeah.
You know, I'm so used to playing in the mid lane where I have a turret, but I guess I don't have that anymore. Basically just a free kill given over to you, Cal, and he's 4-0 now. Peanut once again, kind of hiding in the wings. And you got to be careful about giving too many Mountain Drakes over to the side of KT. They do have Ornn, Alistair, and even Hecarim could build into some tanky items, but especially Ornn, I mean, it's just going to become so thick.
I mean, he already is thick. He's going to be even thicker.
Yeah. Just adding on layers, as this time around, Rich is going to be in a little bit of an unfortunate spot, but he's got that World Ender up here, going to get stunned down. But look at that gigantic shield, and now he's at full health again, as he has finished that Sterix. I would suppose he is just way too massive. And even with KT having their pick of the litter, their chance to engage there as the Dragon was being done, they just seem to have no hope of taking these fights here. And the first pick, KeSPA, again, not able to do anything in that fight.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it feels like we have to go back to here. Because all of these fights, all the setups have been really good for KT. Almost perfect. I mean, it's exactly what you'd want. It's why you draft the Hecarim and the Ornn together. In this fight, See a teleport coming through here for Bay. Able to get away, and Rich is just buying time. You see the massive shield come through here.
Look at this.
It's like super saving.
Oh.
Huge shield. And Bonnie's like, okay, I'm out of here. And then you see the second Orin Horn come through from Bay. True Shot Barrage not even necessary here. But there's just no damage coming out from Hybrid. He's just not safe enough to do it.
Yeah.
And so the real hero is Duck Dom at the end of the day, although Rich was doing some insane frontlining. So how do you win fights as KT? We've seen them win skirmishes, we've seen them win, we had a few solo kills on the map.
Yeah.
We've seen, Rich overextend, but outside of that, it's been like every single fight has been NONGSHIM trading up 1 or 2 members, and the game is slipping away from KT roster very quickly. And I think it almost feels like it's just, there's the issue of the KeSPA, but also in terms of positioning and engages in team fights and the longer fights, it's the experience of the NONGSHIM players really showing through against some of these newer rookie players on the side of KT.
Yeah, it's again kind of a little bit of what we saw from game 1, where it's like, okay, you've got like a pretty good early game going on, you've made some plays, some picks, and now the late game comes and it's like you feel totally clueless about how to fight these team fights. We'll see if Doran coming in from Narnia here in the back line can do a little bit of a change, but immediately Duck Dom just straight over the wall. And now...
now they don't have that tool anymore.
Yeah, you can just fight front to back here for the side of NONGSHIM, and KT realized that, and they have to back away. But now there's no TP, no Orin Horn, and NONGSHIM will continue their Baron push.
Yeah, Bay stole Zeus's ultimate as well. Where's the damage here? Rich goes down to just under half health. But there needs to be more here. So they're getting side laned hard by Bay right now. The pings are coming down. But that actually gives more siege potential here to Duck Dom mid. And it feels like right now, NONGSHIM are just playing around, controlling these waves, the advantage they have. They're not going to try to hard engage. They're just going to wait for KT to slowly get pushed out.
Whoa, right in the back line, trying to take down the Victor, and that's exactly what they needed to do. No hope in hell for him to survive against every single member of NONGSHIM diving onto their back line. The Victor immediately gets popped. Hybrid will live with full health as everybody else on his team dies, and NONGSHIM should easily push in here and take the game number 2 in 26 minutes.
I said, there's no reason for them to push. They've got the siege, they've got the waves controlled, but they saw an opportunity. They went for it, they ended up killing UCal, as you say, and just some showmanship here as the Nexus falls. You've got an Alistar ult on your Silas, and it's Kellen we're talking about here. They push it through, and after the first game, it looked like, okay, we might be in for a long series here. After the early game of game 2, it felt like we might be headed that way, but after, again, in the late part of the mid-game here, KT Roaster looked lost in team fights with this KeSPA pick. Something's going to have to change in the drafting, I think, in the KeSPA priority, or else NONGSHIM looks like they might just take that 3-0. No cups on the desk.
Yeah.
Never there before.
No cups intended.
No cups intended.
Yeah, it does feel like the KeSPA isn't really getting much done. I think that KT had some opportunities after their early game wins to, they're not building Manamune KeSPA. They have earlier game items on her. They could have been playing, front to back, find somebody and absolutely execute them, but their team fighting, honestly, is just not really on the same level as NONGSHIM. You said it before, like the experience, it feels like, of some of the NONGSHIM players is just making them look so much more calm and like a unit. They know exactly when to turn and how to play, whereas on the side of KT, it's just like the house is on fire, and, it's like that scene from SpongeBob in his brain where, like, everything is on fire in the filing cabinets.
All the pages.
Like, yeah. What do we do? It seems like they are just a bit clueless when it comes to team fighting just yet.
NONGSHIM
seems they need some time.
They seem so ready to deal with the hard engage from the Orin. Then the Hecarim comes through. But a lot of these fights, too, massive true shot barrage. You talk about the damage that Ezreal can put out in a long fight just by autoing people and queuing towards the fight with his Divine Sunderer. But sometimes the health bars were getting eaten away by a big barrage before before you could see KT even really start to follow up on their engage. And it was almost like a defensive tool oftentimes as well. Oh, you want to come in, oh, now your health bars are down, and I'm going to kill everybody while you're trying to collapse in on those knockups from the Ornhorn, for example. And also the really nice engages we saw from Bay on Silas after the fact, stealing away the Ornhorn, going for second Ornhorns. You talked about it in the draft, executed really well. They're not going to be able to build that team synergy or that experience to play a KeSPA draft, I think, in the rest of these 3 games potentially. They'll have to win back-to-back to go to the finals. So maybe the drafting needs to change here. Maybe Hirai is going to have to go back to the drawing board and pull together some different ideas because the blue side KeSPA priority has not worked out. We haven't gotten to that late game. We haven't gotten Hybrid, who's a hyper carry AD player, to get to that stage where he can pop off. We haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, he really hasn't been able to do too much so far in the series. So, yeah, I think once you go down 0-2 in a best-of-5, now's the time to change things up. Their first couple of comps had a very similar flavor, and I think now is the time to move on to Strawberry or something else because the vanilla isn't working. And NONGSHIM just looked like the better team, to be honest. I feel like, we were talking about how Group A and Group B, there was a pretty big disparity in terms of the level of play. I think that NONGSHIM have battled their way through up to the semifinals, and now KT with their 4-0 record are finally facing off against a very competent team, and they're struggling pretty obviously.
Damwon's 4-0 and KT's 4-0 were not equivalent.
No.
Not the same.
No.
Not the same. Number 1 seed in North America versus the number 3 seed in Korea when they fight in Worlds, we know what happens, but not every side of bracket, side of a group is going to be the same level. And if you look at the names in Group B, KT's group, they're a telecom team. Their power levels, we had question marks about it going into this tournament, but they also had 2 academy teams in Genji and T1. When the groups were probably made, it wasn't necessarily decided at that point whether they would be running those academy teams, so it could have been different. But let's take a look at these highlights. We're not to talk about KT's SAG group that they did dominate. We will give them credit for that. But this is one of those fights where it's like, okay, you see the engage tools, you see how this can work, right, for KT. But NONGSHIM just fight it out better. You're like, okay, big knockups coming through from Ornn. But then where's the damage? Where's the follow-up? That's the question we always ask. Look at Hybrid. In this situation even, it's like, what are you going to do? He flashes away here. Actually, this was a really nice turn from them. Another Ornhorn.
I give props to NONGSHIM Red Force as well for a really nice shutdown of the enemy jungle. Just a really heavy priority on the bottom side of the map. They said, well, Rich is 0-2. I mean, he's not really going to be doing much until this fight where, again, Peanut is just able to bait the side of KT, all 3 members, into dying here for only... Actually, Hybrid dies here or not Hybrid. Bay does die here as well.
Barely.
But still a good play, still a good trade. And this is the one fight where you're just like, oh man, if they can't win this.
Yeah, if you can't win this one, where you look at this huge knockup.
Watch KT's backline.
And then,
Hybrid's like, I'm just going to walk in and queue.
There's just nothing happening here. I mean, it's Rich on Aatrox, you're scared, it's Kellen on Leona. So there's caution in some of these fights and trades too, which is warranted, but yeah, well, that's the worst Ornhorn ever.
Yeah, he got
stunned out of it.
And at this point, I guess it was a little bit too late. There wasn't even focus on the Aatrox. If they were going to pick him as the target, they were not getting the damage necessary to break through that massive shield.
I mean, UCal and Doran, the 2 veterans on this team, are the ones who are doing the best, right? I mean, we're seeing priority go to the top lane, ganks against Rich. Doran's capitalizing. He's doing very well up there. His engages were also really well done in these fights. You see UCal as well doing massive amounts of damage. I mean, look at the chart. It speaks for itself. I mean, he's Victor. That does start to add up, but UCal's having good games on the Victor. He's played only Victor this tournament, and that's not the issue here. That's not the problem. It's just what happens in these fights with the AD. The questions are around Hybrid and this really, really aggressive first pick KeSPA. And Peanut got his Olaf this time, and they were totally down to just Ezreal bot lane. Play the Silas as well. And when you have the Leona, it's tough to get ahead early as hybrid.
Yep, pretty rough here. We'll see if KT can come back, or will NONGSHIM just be able to close it out 3-0. We'll be right back, everybody, after this break.